Okay, I'm going to call this regular meeting of Kingsville City Commission to order. It's Monday, September the 8th, 2014 at 6 p.m. Four commission members are present. Commissioner Pecos is absent with excused leave. He's gone to get educated, and that's not an easy job. We generally open our meetings with a prayer and pledges of allegiance. If you care to join us, please stand.
Father, we ask that you be here with us tonight and every night. Help guide us throughout the day in our thoughts and our words and our actions to make decisions for the betterment of this community, the state, and the nation. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We have no minutes to approve. We have no public hearings, so we'll go right into commission and staff report. Mitch, you have anything?
I don't, Mayor.
Courtney?
Yes, sir. I was just going to update the commission. The purchasing director and I had the opportunity to meet with a representative from Gulf Coast Broadband. Mr. Colston is working with us on the longer term lease, but tonight in the consent agenda we do have a temporary 3-month, because we weren't sure how long everything was going to take to get worked out, but it looks like it'll be shorter. 3-month temporary Wi-Fi site lease, which is kind of an extension of the 6-month contract they currently have. We just wanted to make sure we had time to work out all the issues, and we're making good progress on that. Secondly, we also received the sewer line construction contract from the Navy's Florida office, so that should be on the agenda for next week. And as we do have a meeting next Monday, the 15th, to adopt the budget and the tax rate, and we'll also have our regular meeting on the 22nd. The agenda item deadline for the meeting on the 22nd is this Friday.
Okay. We're meeting so much, do we really have to meet on the 22nd? We're all done at 15? No? Okay. Just fine.
Just think it.
I won't be here.
Yes.
You don't have to show up either. I'll be here. Anything else? Any questions? Anything from the commission? Okay, well, I just briefly, I had a meeting today with the mayor of Killeen has formed a committee of sorts. It's the mayors of Texas military communities. It's a group of, there's 15 military installations in Texas, and the 15 mayors have banded together to work on some economic development issues through the legislature that everybody knows the legislature starts in January, and almost all the other military states have, the state governments have set aside money to help with projects that would potentially BRAC-proof your base, and the governor has set aside in his wish list this year $30 million for that endeavor. Our group is asking for $150 million, which is a bit ambitious, but shoot high. And I will say this: the NES Kingsville has we're really in pretty good shape, but there's always a project out there, and our project, as everybody knows, Kingsville. NES Kingsville does all the modification work and repair work for the T-45, and so there's a couple of the Navy has, and this was a decision they made a few years back, that they're not going to come out with another trainer before 2035, so they're having to extend the life of the T-35 to 2035, and as a consequence of that, there's going to be a lot of modification work that's going to be done, and we want it done here in Kingsville. There's a hangar out there that It's really, the Army left in really good shape. But it's gonna have to have some modifications on the hangar to work to do the mod work that we need to do for the T-45. And, because it might not be this sounds pretty bad. It might only be $2 or $3 million in military construction work. That's not a lot of money. So it's gonna have to be a small project, something like this. And if that can help us, and we have one of the contractors is bidding for some of this work, and so we have somebody else that's looking to do it. So if we can redo this and renovate this hangar, it could be quite a few jobs here in Kingsville. So it's a good project, and it's a good endeavor. We had a really good meeting today, more of an organizational meeting, but we'll see how that progresses. Okay. Any questions? All right. With that, we'll go on to public comments. Yes.
They were here to present.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Once again, thank you all. My name is James, real quick. I'm the president of the local 2390 Firefighter Association. It is that time of year again for breast cancer awareness month. It's actually next month. We're actually a little ahead ourselves. I want to present y'all with t-shirts.
Thank you.
Well, if you give me a triple X, I'm really going to be mad.
Actually, don't blame me.
You can use it as a night shirt.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it.
Real quick, we're selling them at Kingsville Fire Department, or any firefighters with the fire department, we're selling them. Contact one of us and we'll be happy to sell them.
Thank you,
you.
Jim. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. Anything else? Okay, if not, we'll go into public comments. It's an opportunity for anyone that wants to come up and speak about anything you want to talk about. All you have to do is come to the podium, tell us who you are and where you live, and you have 2 minutes to talk about any subject you want to talk about. Okay. If not, we'll go into the consent agenda.
Make a motion, we approve consent agenda as presented.
A motion by Commissioner Pena to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Commissioner Liebert. Any roll call vote?
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Liebert?
Yes.
Commissioner Fenya?
Yes.
Mayor Peters?
Yes. Okay, we'll go to our regular agenda. Consider resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an interlocal agreement between the Fayette County and the city of Kingsville for the parks within the city limits. Dick Clayburg is completely in the city limits?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, motion to approve the agreement. Is there a second? Second. Motion by Commissioner Liebert to approve the agreement, seconded by Commissioner Pena and Commissioner Garcia. Is there any discussion? I wanted to ask you, and I read the contract, there's not a bailout provision for the county in this thing, is there? They can't say within, okay, we want them back within 90 days.
There is not an early termination explicitly stated. There is a provision in both of the documents that says if either party feels the other party isn't living up to their part of the agreement, then they're supposed to notify the other party in writing and try and get it resolved within 30 days, and if not, then they hold a joint meeting on the issue.
Well, and my point is, I don't want to spend a great deal of money and time and effort to get them built back up, and then all of a sudden, we get a notice in 90 days, we want them back. I don't want to see it. It's a 10-year lease?
No, sir. It is, initial term is 20 years in
Okay.
both documents. There's 2 10-year renewals.
Okay.
So they would automatically renew unless we provide them notice within 180 days.
Happens. Now, if we have to delay that for some reason, we can do that. But I think it'll be better for the employees and better for the city, quite frankly, if we bring them on at the same day.
Sure. I agree. Yes?
I have a question. Can we get the user fee of the equipment straightened out?
Yes, I sent an email today, but I don't think it got to all the commissioners. When I contacted the judge, what the county really wanted is they wanted to keep some pieces of equipment because they still have some parks out in the county. And so I said, well, Judge, it might be easier if you just take the pieces of equipment that you want, rather than charging us a equipment use charge. So he identified, I don't know, it's 5 or 6 different pieces of equipment. I've asked Susan Ivy to confirm with the judge which pieces of equipment those are, and tell us whether they're critical to the park's operations. If they are critical, we might have some more discussion. I told the judge I'd like to handle that outside of the agreement, that we can come to an agreement. I don't want to hold up the agreement for that. I suggested that they take the equipment that they feel they need to service the park outside the city and leave us with the equipment that is critical to the park's operations, and we'll just move ahead. He agreed with that. I hope that's what they approved today. Don't know for sure.
Okay.
But I think we've got agreement.
Right.
Make the motion, we accept resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into interlocal agreement between Cleveland County and City of Eagle for the Ellie Ramey Golf Course.
Okay, there's motions, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Pena to approve this resolution, seconded by Commissioner Luber. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Fenya,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Luber,
Yes.
Mayor Peter.
Yes. Next item is consider introduction of ordinance adopting the city manager's budget as amended of the city of Kingsville, Texas, appropriating funds for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2014 and ending September 30th, 2015, and the particulars herein stated.
Mayor, Commissioners, the proposed budget that we submitted to you is a total of $52,515,032, and that is the proposed budget as we know it.
All right, any questions, comments? This is an introduction item. Okay. Then we'll go on to the next item, is consider introduction of ordinance establishing and adopting the ad valorem tax rate for all taxable property within the city of Kingsville, Texas for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2014 and ending September 30th, 2015, distributing the tax levy and among the various funds, and providing for a lien on real and personal property to secure the payment of taxes assessed.
And the tax rate that is included in the budget is the same tax rate of .84220. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate. And the tax rate will effectively be raised by 2.67% and will raise taxes for maintenance and operations on a $100,000 home by approximately $1.54. The allocation of the tax rate is .65558 for maintenance and operations and .18662 for general obligation debt service, for a total of .84220.
Any questions? Okay, then we'll go to the next item. Consider introduction of an ordinance amending the City of Kingsville Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 3, Article 7, personnel policies. Yes, ma'am.
The job classification and compensation plan, including the ordinance, is included in the packet and is for introduction. As mentioned during the budget workshop, the city manager had included the proposed changes in the fiscal year 2014-2015 proposed budget. We can go through the comp plan. There's 3 different types of changes. We have new positions, renaming of positions, and reclassifications. If you want to follow along under the non-exempt section, we have some new positions to get ready for the golf course. We have the golf pro shop attendant. And then for some of the new positions, we have the tourism services technician, municipal court specialist, the fire telecommunications operators, the help desk position. And then we have the addition of a lead maintenance technician, which is to be filled from within, so it's not an extra person. And then we also have the addition of the seasonal and temporary employees to also assist with the transition of the golf course and the parks. We have some positions that we are renaming In the proposal, we have the animal control officer, kennel attendant, is to be divided into two different job titles and renamed. The animal control officer will be the animal control specialist, and the kennel attendant to animal care attendant. And then to differentiate with the fire and police telecommunications is just adding the word police to the telecommunications operator position. Under the finance, the accounting 2 positions is to separate those out to more accurately reflect the job duties that they have. So the accounting 2 positions will be the AP specialist, the payroll specialist, and the accounting assistant. Under the code enforcement officer positions, that would be proposed to be renamed to community appearance inspector. And there's also some reclassifications. The engineer's assistant would be moved from the management level position to an hourly position because of the job duties and the variable scheduling. It's more of an hourly position now. Then there's a reclassification of the city marshal positions to a separate class, as well as the senior city marshal to a separate class. And then you'll also notice that the minimum and maximum rates were adjusted to correspond with the city manager's budget proposals and also include the COLAs in there. Under the exempt section, again, we also have 3 types of changes: positions, renaming of positions, and reclassifications. There are new positions of the police communication supervisor, and then some new positions due to the golf and parks of a golf course manager and a parks and recreation manager. We have some renaming of positions. This is somewhere to clarify. We have a city marshal, parentheses commander, we're writing, just clarifying that and making that task force commander. Same thing applies to the assistant, to the city marshal assistant commander, to change that to assistant task force commander. Those are also going to be proposed to be moved. The task force commander position will be moved from a management level 3 to a management level 2, and the assistant task force commander from a management level 4 to a management level 3. There's also the renaming of the information systems technician to systems specialist. To address some job title inconsistencies and for clarification of organizational structure, the following changes are proposed. We have a collections manager changed to collections supervisor, a downtown and volunteer manager to downtown and volunteer supervisor, and then a municipal court manager to municipal court supervisor. That addresses the title changes and positions. Do you have any questions? And then I can go on to the hourly chart changes.
With these title changes or renaming of positions, is there any change in salaries or hourly rate for these individuals?
In the title changes, some of the title changes, no. There's new positions, those are the new positions that were already put into the budget, into the proposed budget. The changes, the renaming of positions and changes to the city marshal, to the task force commander, and the assistant commander, those do result in additional compensation. There is an increase for the task force assistant commander and the commander, and that was included in the budget.
What were the percentages there, roughly, for amount?
Just a moment. The task force. I don't have a percentages. I have for the task force commander, it was an increase in base of $5,400, and the assistant commander an increase in base of $3,000.
Would we classify these as internal equity adjustments? I mean, that's basically what I think they are.
Yes, these are the positions, and the duties assigned to the positions were evaluated, and with the current compensation that they have and the duties that they currently have, those will be adjusted.
Now, does the 1.5% increase on salary included in that amount, or is it above that?
That one, I couldn't tell you right now. If it was an additional, usually in, I don't have that information. I just have the dollar amount.
Any other questions? Okay, that's an introduction item. In fact, I think everything we got for now on is introduction, yeah. Next item is, if you have.
Did you want me to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Not really, go ahead.
Not really, the hourly chart. The hourly chart has been updated with the proposed class 7 to 11 adjustments and the proposed COLAs. We've started the process with maxing out at 20 years on certain positions of the, maxing out at 20 years of the compensation on certain positions, and in class 21 and 22, starting to max out those positions at 15 years. We'll be working on proposals for some of the other positions next fiscal year to eventually have the positions max out at 15 years. Then the percentages between the classes and steps we can start working to address those issues or those inconsistencies in the chart. Right now, not everything is straight 3% between steps or 4% between ranges. So that will be one of the things that we'll be looking to try to do for next year. We have the new classifications of task force and of TF for task force and TFS for task force senior agent or city marshal. And those are also in the schedule and also proposed to be maxed out at 15 years. And it's also being proposed to completely eliminate step A, which is the first step on the compensation as chart, which has been, right now it's been delegated for temporary employees, their temporary positions. In review, those individuals that the city is hiring are conducting the duties of the position and should be compensated at the rate of regular employees who are being hired for those positions. They're doing the same work. You should be getting less pay for that same type of work. Temporary and part-time positions right now do not receive benefits such as insurance, sick, vacation, holidays, or retirement. Under the certification pay, the intermediate, advanced, and master peace officer certifications have been added. And this year, there is some revised wording in the ordinance that may address the commissioner's questions regarding pay of can we do better for the positions in the $9 range. If you look at the ordinance, under the third paragraph of the ordinance in section 3-7-1, the proposed new wording states, a new hire shall be placed at the compensation class for the designated positions. New hires may be placed in the step within the designated class corresponding to the years of experience the new employee brings to the city that correlating to the designated duties of the position, not to exceed the 10-year step unless approved by City Commission. What this would mean is an example, if we take a position of maintenance worker in a class 7. And right now it is proposed that position start at $9.36 an hour. If we get an applicant who comes in and has 3 years of experience in the duties of that position, then we could place that person at a higher step when they come in. So if they come in with 3 years, we could place them up to the 3-year step, which is step D on the schedule. And the person, instead of starting at 9:36, would start at 10:08. Okay?
Can I have one? I've read all these kind of things and everything. Is there any way you can start putting all that kind of more in plain English? Just, because when people are reading that stuff, it's like, okay, I think I read this, and I know that legals are starting to go with a little better English and a little more understanding. It's just a thought, and if you could start working on that too, that would really, really be helpful, I think, for everybody. And it'd be a heck of a lot easier for you to read to us and say, okay, what that means.
What that means.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
It is like nuclear physics, so,
And I have one more example I can give you.
Give us another example.
Okay, we're going to take an animal control officer. And this is the class 8 position. And right now it would start out at $9.70 per hour. And if the individual came in with 6 years in experience with animal control, then the individual may be placed at step E, which is a 6-year step, and start at $10.81 an hour. If the person came in with 15 years of experience, and the recommendation is to start the individual at the 15-year step, which would, in this case, would be 1152, then that would have to be brought before City Commission for consideration in the form of resolution. So the city manager would have up to the 10-year step. Anything over that would come before you.
That's helpful.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So there are a number of things that Diana's pointed out, that in addition to raising that lowest wage, we've eliminated the introductory wage, made it higher. And also, if you need a welder, for example, and that's a good example of where we have a high demand for welders. And if they have 10 or 15 years experience welding someplace else, when they come here, we ought to start them at something other than that starting wage. We should recognize their experience that they had before they came here. So
And
it
their
allows us to.
education and their hard
Yes,
work and all,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank
it's,
Any other questions? Good job. I didn't really mean that about it. I really did want to hear that. Okay.
feelings are hurting.
I know. Next item is to consider introduction of ordinance ratifying classifications and describing the number of positions in such classification for the classified services in the police department by removing one new officer position due to end of grant requirements. They lost their, San Cruz lost their police officers.
Yes. Single position.
The grant was for 3 years, and it required we hold the position one more year after that, and the city funded the 4th year. And I guess, it was the end of the 4 years, and they opted not to renew the grant. And so the position that was created specifically for that is no longer needed, and all the grant conditions have been applied.
That's what this is about.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments about that? Chief, were we able to absorb that position? Or did you have to let him go?
No, so we did it through attrition.
Okay, good. Okay. Any other questions or comments? That is an introduction item also. If not, we'll go to the next item. Consider introduction of ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Keysville, Texas, Article 9, General Regulations, Chapter 9, Smoking Regulations by adding Section 40-43 e-cigarette, electronic cigarette, and liquid nicotine regulations for the purpose of prohibiting the sale and distribution of electronic cigarettes and liquid nicotine to minors and prohibiting use and possession of electronic cigarettes and liquid nicotine by minors, providing a severability clause, providing for a penalty fine not to exceed the sum of $500 for each offense. An offense doesn't look like that's spelled right, but I guess that doesn't really matter.
Mayor, Commissioners, as you know, electronic cigarettes are becoming more and more popular
What
here
does one
amongst.
look like? What
Sir?
What do they look like?
They look like a little tube.
Different.
They're
Is that the
battery
ones
powered.
that- If that's the ones where people are trying to quit smoking, they go to, is that what you see? Do you see people?
It's very similar. These are a little bit different in the fact that they, if you'll go to convenience stores, they'll have them right by the counter. And it'll have tangerine and grape and all these flavors.
What's your flavor?
Something else I'm learning. That's
They're
great.
actually,
Okay.
they're obviously targeted at younger people. They've got the charm low pop looking
Really?
wrappers. And the only thing is, a lot of times, the liquid solution contains liquid nicotine, which has been a cause for us and law enforcement. Obviously, protecting the honor citizens of the city of Kingsville against an untested nicotine product, like electronic cigarettes and liquid nicotine represents sound public health and fiscal policy. A ban on the sale of electronic cigarettes, liquid nicotine, and associated paraphernalia in the city of Kingsville to persons under the age of 18. A prohibition on self-service merchandise in order to minimize their physical accessibility to minors, and the prohibition of the use of possession of such products by minors serves as an important public interest in furtherance of the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the city of Kingsville. This is the same thing, sort of like we were kind of on the forefront for our region on the use of synthetic marijuana. This is actually what's happening. We actually have seen that this has already been ordinance enacted over in Denison, Flower Mound, Briscoe, Georgetown, Louisville, Murphy, Rowland, and Rockwall. We're just trying to follow along and make sure that our young people are safe.
Okay, sounds good to me. How are we gonna let our merchants know about this? Are we gonna, because is there any kind of penalty for them? I mean,
Well, if they're actually selling it, they're in violation. If they actually sell it to the underage person, they're in violation.
well, we need to get them online.
Yeah, I think we could have some kind of communication with
Well,
retail merchants. on-
what we've done in the past is, we actually drew up letters and we took them personally to each manager of each particular store.
Okay,
And,
good.
of course, I'm sure that our local newspaper guy will see
Well, I hate
fit
to break it
put
to
it in.
Tim, but not everybody reads the Kingsville Record.
More than that.
But we'll do the best we can.
Okay. Any other questions? That again is a introduction item, so that's all we have for business for the city tonight. We are adjourned.